Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I've got a non-bingo rack, but it is balanced and it's too good to change. So I'm minded to play wood. The rack leave isn't great, but this doesn't give much away to opponents and gets rid of my worst tiles. Great, I have the X, which is a good scoring tile, and a couple of vowels to go with it. So I have lax and tax on my rack, and zoo is good. So at the moment, lax plays in row G. Wood takes a U and an S at the end. So I could play sax or six. 34 points, maybe worth doing. Laxist is good, but this isn't a rack which I necessarily want to wreck. If I played lax, then the rack leave of, or list, then the rack leave of GAST is not a bad four-letter set. But any of my current plans are likely to be altered by opponent's play, unless he changes. So I do have laxist over the top of wood. 34 points. Whereas 6, 34, so not much between those. 6 would allow opponent to play a parallel play and get value from the X, which he wouldn't if I make zoo. Now, opponent has obstructed those plays. Mux is good. Awa is good. So I have this for 30. Let me take this back. Is there anything better? What about lax here? 32. That's 2 more points. X takes an A and an E. I think I'll play down here to prevent that, and also because I've got the S for fames. So I am going with this. And, well, do I have a bingo here? I don't think I do. I have ghosty as a 6. But not seeing a 7, and I don't think there are any fluters on the board. So, what to do? I have a strong preference for the lax play last turn as opposed to playing in row F. Opponent's options now are fairly limited, unless he's got a column 10 bingo. A row F play isn't even going to get doubled, and our only takes a Y, which I've got. So I could play hoy or goy. Hoy takes an S, takes an A in front, whereas goy takes nothing. Goy still playable on ISE, not in face-to-face tournaments in most countries in the world. I still have my S for woods and fames. Opponent taking a while with these opening plays, down to 17 minutes. Fame takes nothing in front, lax takes an F. Wow, opponent with U and V, so not a great rack. And he's taken the spot I had in mind for hoy. So I have a T for tower. Do I have anything through the? Well, interesting. I have Tivy. 20 points. Keeping not a great rack leave. Tivy takes an S, which I've got. That still doesn't feel great. But what else can I do? I could play thy at 21 points. But Y is a nice tile. A lot of scoring tiles go above it, so opponent could get a lot from that. What about playing above F and hour, something ending HT? Well, the best I can see is hot for 22, but keeping Y and G doesn't feel good at all. Do I have anything ending gut? I don't. Any alternatives to thigh? Well, yes. I have gothy, which definitely sorts the rack out. Isn't placing a vowel next to a premium square. Opponent can't get much value from the Y. I am going with this. And I have outsail, which plays in row L. And I don't think it plays anywhere else, but surely opponent's going to be attracted to these high-scoring H and Y tiles. What if he's not? What if he blocks outsail? Do I have anything through T, H, or Y? Well, do I have Halitus? I think I do. What about the Y? Doesn't look promising. How about the T? Wow, such bingo-y tiles. But I'm not seeing anything. And the O is also a floater. That doesn't look great. 74 for Halitus. Well, and a lot and more for outsail because I get value from love. And Halitus may not be good. Now, Nod does take an S in front. But I'm still minded to play down here. Outsail for 73. And not a terrible draw. I would have release E through an A. None available. Yeah, but if I play double E or L double E, then I'll leave a decent 4 or 5 letter set. L and R don't go great together. But could I have something? Is there a 7 here? Surely not. How about the H? Well, I have reheal. $18 points. What am I going to get from just double E? Well, about 14 underneath Gothy. I have Eve, Et, and EA, which I think is going to be my preferred play. Now V also available as a floater. I could have a VELE word or an eval word. Now, well, I was going to say what about Sleever, but I don't have that on my rack. Great, just 10 points for opponent. And he leaves alone my Eve spot. Do either of his pairs give me anything? They don't. Have I considered every available floater? And I have. So I have Eve here for 18. And I have release. So does that play? It does at the moment in row N because of Ur and Ur. And it also plays in row D because of Snod. So I am bingoing, and I currently lead by 100. So if opponent doesn't bingo, then I could be putting a decent amount of blue sky between us. Release in row D, much safer or much better than row N, which will be providing access to triple word squares. So any alternative bingos? What about H and Y? I have EYE as a component part of a word. Not seeing anything there. How about the H? No, not seeing anything. Oh, wow, opponent blocks release. Nice word, Erne, which is Henry backwards and deliberately so, a term from physics. So I have releaser, not scoring very much. This isn't too terrible because it provides access to 2 triple word squares, and opponent is very unlikely to take both of them in one play. Ooh, not good. So this is far less nice. But not many tiles go underneath the S. This is 65 points. If I played releaser, I would get 60. And releaser also places an E in column 8 just above this double letter square, so opponent could have a big column 8 play. Overall, I'm minded to prefer this current positioning, but have I missed something? Something else? No, I have not. I'm going with this. Wow. What a change in rack from all one-pointers and bingo-y tiles to this very unbalanced rack, just the solitary vowel to go with my high-scoring tiles. However, I have cat on my rack, QAT. Does that play anywhere? Gosh, that's rotten luck. I don't think it does. Okay, what else do I have? I have Taj. Through an R, I would have Trank. So I do have Trank in row C. I'm placing a Q in column 15, not massively dangerous because a big tile can't go on the double letter square. And a Q play would need to be at least 6 letters long to reach the triple word square in the middle. And I like Trank because it's turning over 4 tiles, which increases my chances of drawing vowels to assist. Oh, wow, 90 points for opponent. Okay, so it certainly is game on. I lead by only 40. Gosh, that triple letter square is so nice for the Q, but so unavailable. So is Trank the play? Is there a massive J spot? No, I don't think there is. Or is there? No. Does Ur takes a T? Well, it does, but not as a valid Scrabble word. I think it's a capital O. So I'm going with Trank. Only one U to come for 28. It's still just one vowel. And you see the problem with these high-scoring tiles, of which I have 5, is that it's very hard to offload them without vowels. Now, I do have a 70-point lead, but any form of Q play which gets tripled is going to massively eat into that. Now, row N, do I have a JO play which gets doubled? No. Do I have any play in row N? Wow, no, these are not great tiles. Great, just 12 points for opponent. That's fantastic. My H can go after the C, but I can't really get value from that. What I'm looking to do is play off more than just 1 or 2 tiles here. That may be hard. Where can I do that? Maybe through the Y, which is a quasi-vowel. H or M. Or T, I have Timp. Not a fan of that. I have Job in row N, but Job takes an E and an S. Now I do have an O for of and a T for tower. So yes, I can do something here. I can play Fot for 25. And there's a little bit of synergy with these tiles. If I draw an A, I've got Jamb in row N. And 25 points isn't terrible in the context of this rack. I'm going with this. Great, vowels. A long way from being a bingo, but my priority at the moment is getting through these big tiles. Still both blanks to come. Opponent's play of cone has taken out the Q in terms of column 15 plays because EU isn't good. Now, what can I do here? I've got beef and Phoebe. Through a D, I would have Gemby. I have Jeffe on my rack, that's nice, which does play in row N. But with 2 S's and 2 blanks, that could invite a big reply. But it certainly sorts the rack out. Then the remaining big tiles on my rack, M and B, do have some synergy. I have in mind row D that Nod takes an S, so if Fot creates a ladder, it only needs one more step to obstruct that. EP not good, so I'm not going to be able to do that unless I start above the H. And I don't have anything to go above OF. Certainly with these blanks in mind and only 27 tiles in the bag, it would be beneficial to turn over tiles. But if you haven't got the tiles to do that, you can't. Now I do have an F for flax, but the board around it stops me using that. Okay, great. Just 28 from the Z for opponent. So do I have a column 5 play ending E something H? I don't think I do. It would have to end EMH or EBH or EEH. I have none of those. What about a play in row E? That would need to be AE. Nothing great. So this is fairly high risk, but the points are good. 39 points is good when I currently lead by 60. This is going to give me 90 to 100 point lead. And if the opponent doesn't have a play in column 15, he may have to waste an S or a blank, or take a low score to try and block me making a move in that spot. I don't think this is terrible, and the rack leave is fine. Is there something better I can do? I don't think so. I'm going with this. Wow, I don't draw any other blanks, and the rack's pretty awful. I sort of half had in mind that if opponent played in the bottom right, I could get value from the Z. But I can't do that in... Well, I could play double AH, but I don't want to hang on to 3 I's. Now, I can sort this rack out with Iambi, but is there a spot for that? I don't think there is. Which is a shame, because that pretty much would sort it out in one. Gosh, this is a wretched rack. Let me check the remaining vowels. 8 out of 28. Wow, not many vowels left. Okay. Well, I shouldn't be in too... Great, look at that. 26 points. Opponent is obstructing column 15. He doesn't have the tiles himself to bingo there. Has he created an Iambi spot? He hasn't. Ambit doesn't get tripled. What about playing Beamer? So this is what I'm thinking. 19 points is close to 20, so I'm keeping the scoring ticking along, maintaining about a 100-point lead. B isn't a particularly useful floater for a bingo, let alone a triple-triple. And I'm also thinking that 3 vowels isn't terrible in the context of a really vowel-dry bag. And opponent's just played the very last E, but look at this, still 3 I's to come. So maybe I can do better. What about playing Zimby? Same score, doesn't provide access to the triple word squares, apart from column 8, where the I is covering the double letter square. And yeah, 1 I rather than 2 is better in the context of 3 I's unseen. I'm going with this. Great, and I draw the blank, and I do draw another one of these wretched I's. But it does mean then that there are fewer vowels in the bag. 6 out of 19. Okay. That's still enough for opponent to keep scoring. So, well, do I have a bingo with this rack? As soon as you see a blank, you must consider that. Where are the lanes? There's row B onto this Y. There's the floating V. There's the T of Gert. So 11 tiles left, and I lead by 78 points. What to do? Is there an iwi spot? This is a wretched board for opportunities to play off tiles. Just nowhere on the board for iwi. Yeah, just nowhere. Well, I guess it's wretched for opponent as well. So I don't want to create anything super easy for opponent. And I don't mind shutting the board down even more. Now, yeah, this is nice. I can play Annie here for 25. This rack leave isn't terrible. I'm keeping the W for score. I'm keeping vowels in the context of a vowel drought. I'm obstructing column 15, which is probably the best bingo lane on the board. And I'm scoring over 25 points. Am I? Anna is also good. I'm just wondering if I can play off more tiles in this spot. I do have the A option instead of the I. No, this is the best I can see here. Wow, more heavy tiles. So opponent could have quite a bingo-y set of tiles, but not many lanes. Annie does take an S, so column 15 is still available, just obstructed. And there's the floating V, which surely isn't useful, but should opponent have a bingo through that, there will be access to triple word squares. Just 8 tiles in the bag. Again, doesn't take anything in front. So column 8 could be helpful for me, given that I now do have these scoring tiles. So I have cap I. It would be nice to play off the W. Not seeing a way of doing that. Yeah, again, I come back to there being very few opportunities on this board, but that's fine. I lead by 100, and the board belongs to both me and opponent. So a tight board definitely is advantageous to me. Now, what about column 11 through T and T? That could end AIT. Well, that's all I've got, TAIT. Burning my vowels. So do I have something in column 15? I surely do. I have rapist, keeping W and C. Only about 24 points, but it does take out a lane. Still looking in column 8. And I'm not seeing anything through that I. What about the O of Vom play in row C? So POA. Well, I'm not going to play the W there, but I do have POA, which obstructs column 8 for an even more choked board. Now, look at this. My C can go between I and H. I have Wark. That is tempting. That is tempting. That's a big score, and I'm only providing a floating W. And if opponent does have something amazing through that, it'll be the same situation as with the V. I'll have access to triple word squares. So, yes, I have Wark. Wow, 36 points. So, how are we doing for time? Opponent down to 7 minutes, 8 on my clock. And how about alternatives to Wark? Pack. Yeah, that would provide absolutely nothing for opponent and retain the W for score. But it partly depends how many tiles are left in the bag. There are 8 in there at the moment. What's opponent going to do? Is he going to open a lane? And he may have his eye on row E as well. He can't place a C there, but he could put an H in that spot. So any other spots I've overlooked? What about column 13 through this Y? No, nothing great in that spot. The R is the only tile I can put above it. Or the A. But I can't make inroads into my heavy tiles. Now I mustn't overlook this Q. Although I can't play a QU play. Maybe I could play an alternative. Now, opponent's played, he's played Lure. Great, he's provided absolutely nothing at all. So I'm minded to go with Wark for 34. Wow, okay, so, well, not many vowels, but that's not surprising. I knew there was a shortage. So, do I have an IST word in column 15? Or an ISTS word? That would be created with DRP blank. So the blank would be a vowel. Drap, drep, drip, drop, drop. So no, sadly I don't have a Jeffe's bingo. Do I have anything through the W, close to rip saw? No. Vom takes nothing in front. Do I have anything through the V? I don't think so. Disproves is 9 letters long. Any other lanes I've overlooked? Well, coming back to column 15, I don't have a Jeffe's bingo, but what about one ending just IS? Then I would have SPRD, and again the blank would need to be a vowel. Well, I don't think this is right, but it would work if dispersed was good. Okay, no, that's on me who's played, not opponent. I don't think this was good at all. That certainly isn't. And it's not. Does it have an anagram? I don't know. 27 for opponent, so 2 tiles in the bag. Let me just put these tiles on the board to clear the decks. So I considered A, E, I, close to dispirits, O, U, Y, not seeing anything. Now Annie also takes an L. Okay, so no, not seeing anything. 2 tiles in the bag. Is there a spot to play off just one? Or why not just do this? Spurs 29 points and guarantees the win. I'm winning by 100 already. This takes out the only bingo lane apart from weedy ones through the V and W, which I can certainly outrun. Well, there was a vowel in what was left, so perhaps that was a little hasty. But I hadn't seen anywhere great for the P. Yeah, and I still think there was merit in taking out that bingo lane rather than fishing for a bingo myself when I was simply a good bingo ahead. Now, can I go out in 1? Nothing with V or W. Ah, well, of course, opponent's now got a great rack. It's not going to be enough to win, but could he bingo? Ginoru V and W. That would have been the other reason for playing off just one tile, to leave one in the bag. Just looking at the W, that looks the more promising. Wow, that is close. That's close. So I think Spurst might have been a bit suboptimal. However, it's definitely a winning play. Now, do I have anything in column 8 through the I? I don't think so. I have a bid on my rack, but I'm not seeing anywhere for that. Lure does take an A in front, but I don't have a 4-letter play ending in A. I have a bide onto the E in row J. Danny's not good, otherwise a bid would play in column 11. I don't think a bid has an anagram. Do I have anything through this Y? I don't think so. Opponent down to just 2 minutes on his clock. Al is good, but again doesn't take a D or anything. Zap only takes an S. What about the O? Ditch is good. So I have DWEEB for a decent score. If Abide is blocked. But that would not be an outplay, so any outplay is going to be better than any non-outplay, I think. Opponent, not surprisingly, using his time to try and find a bingo to minimise the losing spread, but I haven't seen one for him. Interestingly, if I'd had played off my P elsewhere, would he have had a play onto this T? So outrings and tourings and rousting. No, I don't think he would have done it. Really would have needed to have ended ST, and I'm not seeing anything there for him. Opponent coming down to his final minute. I'm still looking at V and W in case opponent has got an out. And, well, he doesn't find one, and indeed he provides a nice spot for a bid. And the final score, 312 for opponent, 445 for me, a winning margin of 133 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Wow, what a game. Both of us very low on time, and a very tight board for most of the game. So it was me to go first. Interesting. I played Wood. I could have played off one more tile for a slightly bigger score, but LUT is a pretty grim rack leave, so I prefer my play. Opponent plays Fame. And now I had Lax in a couple of spots, and I preferred the lower scoring one because it provided less for opponent. Opponent plays Love. And now, here we go. Well, I thought about Ghosty, but I didn't seriously contemplate it. And of course, it would play Making Loves, getting the Y doubled for 41. Instead, I played Gothy for 19. And with the S worth 8 to 10, Ghosty would certainly have been better. Opponent plays Nod. And now, Halitus was good and did score the most. So why didn't I play it? Well, I think I just by eye assessed that Outsail scored more. Okay, now opponent's rack. Wow, missed bingo. Has Thornia E12 through the H. Gosh, so Halitus not only would have scored more than Outsail, it would have blocked opponent's bingo. But fortunately for me, he doesn't spot it. I have this rack, no bingo for me. Oh, and I could have put the L in front because of LUR for an extra 5 points. And although L does help EERS, it doesn't help it by 5. However, I think those are fine margins, and both those moves are close. Opponent's rack plays Ernie, and N3. Yeah, that was my play, release and releaser in row C, the only other one. So I lead by over 100, but look at this, fantastic bingo by opponent. Addition for 90 brings him right back into the game, trailing by 40, and I've got a really tricky rack. And I played Trank for 28, that looks fine. Opponent, wow, so I drew that heap of junk after my bingo, and opponent draws Congree, which fortunately for me doesn't go, but it just shows what luck can do in Scrabble, especially when you're drawing 7 random tiles. So opponent plays Cone. I've still got a clunky rack. John, L12, onto the N, that's nice. Keeps 3 tiles, 3 scoring tiles, and allows an easy score for opponent. So I like Fot, only 3 fewer. Opponent plays Zap, and wow, N11 Gemby. Interesting. It's, well, that's all it is, slightly bigger score. So from a score and rack lead perspective, not much between these plays, but placing an E in column 15, although it opens up a triple-triple, more importantly opens up the opportunity to score really highly with a non-bingo, which Jeffe doesn't, so I still prefer my play. Opponent plays Gert, and now I have this horror show. Fortunately, I have an 80-point cushion. So I thought about R, didn't like keeping 3 eyes with 3 to come, and played Zimby for 19. Interesting, Beza. Well, Beza sticks a B in column 1 and provides a floater, so I think I prefer my play. Now, nice rack for opponent. No bingo. Plays Vom. And Annie, L12. Yep, that was my play and I like it. Wow, missed bingo. F15, where's that? Oh, wow, on to the T of Gert, Ringbolt and Anil. Wow, that would have been an amazing bingo. Not surprisingly, opponent misses it and plays Lure, and I maintain my 100-point lead. And I play Whack, which I think is fine. Wow, but look at this. Opponent has 3 bingos through that W, and if I'd played Pack, he would have had none. So that was what I was weighing up, just how useful as a bingo floater was the W. Of course, the existence of these bingos doesn't mean that this play was wrong, because you really need to look over all possible situations that opponent could have, and most of the time he wouldn't have a W, which would mean that Wark would be the winninger play. Anyway, tricky bingos to spot, Corkwing and Ringwork. Opponent plays Eck. Phew, no missed bingo here. But this is the point at which I play Spurst. Ah, look at this. Purists was playable, getting value from Jeffe. That would certainly have been better. But the choice here with 2 in the bag is whether to empty the bag with a play such as these, or the one I did, or whether to play off 1 tile, leaving 1 in the bag, so that I've got an opportunity to play again should opponent bingo. And there's arguments in favour of both. So I play Spurst. No bingo for opponent, plays Groan, and I go out with a bid for 23, and the only alternative out was Abide. So, what a game. Pretty epic game, lasted a long time, and the board was tight from very early on, so I was struggling to find candidate plays on the board for most of the game, but given that throughout the game I had a 100-point lead, that was actually a pretty good position to be in. So, many thanks to opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game. Like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.